Don't speak to us in Hebrew, in the hearing of the people on the wall." But the Assyrian commander, Rabshakeh, stood before the walls of Jerusalem and taunted its inhabitants, shouting in their language so that all could understand. He replied, "Was it only to your master and you that my master sent me to say these things, and not to the people sitting on the wall, who, like you, will have to eat their own excrement and drink their own urine? Do not listen to Hezekiah, for he is misleading you when he says, 'The Lord will deliver us.' Has the God of any nation ever delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hannah, and Ivah? Have they rescued Samaria from my hand? Who of all the gods of these countries has been able to save his land from me? How then can the Lord deliver Jerusalem from my hand?" The representatives of Hezekiah tore their clothes and returned to him with the message. Inside the city, Hezekiah was deeply troubled. He tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and went into the temple of the Lord. He had hoped the tribute would bring peace, but now it seemed only to have emboldened the enemy. The people were growing restless, and doubt began to creep into their hearts. Hezekiah turned once more to the prophet Isaiah, seeking divine counsel. Isaiah's message was unwavering. "Do not be afraid of what you have heard, those words with which the underlings of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Listen, when he hears a certain report, I will make him want to return to his own country, and there I will have him cut down with the sword." 2 Kings 19, verses 6 to 7. As if immediately, trouble brewed in the heart of the Assyrian Empire. It was one such report that arrived with urgency: an uprising in Libnah. Sennacherib's attention was pulled away from Jerusalem. Reluctantly, Rabshakeh, the commander, had to withdraw from the siege and aid the king because Tirhakah, the king of Cush, was also marching out to fight against him. The king of Assyria, however, did not leave without a final attempt to intimidate Hezekiah. He sent messengers with a letter to the king of Judah, repeating his threats and mocking the God of Israel. "Do not let the God you depend on deceive you when he says, 'Jerusalem will not be given into the hands of the king of Assyria.' Surely you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the countries, destroying them completely. And will you be delivered?" 2 Kings 19, verse 10 to 11. In a humble act of faith, Hezekiah went to the temple and spread out the threatening letter from Sennacherib before the Lord. He prayed fervently, acknowledging God's sovereignty and pleading for deliverance. "Lord, the God of Israel, enthroned between the cherubim, you alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Give ear, Lord, and hear. Open your eyes, Lord, and see. Listen to the words Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God." 2 Kings 19, verses 15 to 16. Hezekiah realized that only God could save him and the kingdom. This is what Hezekiah should have done from the onset, but it's just a clear example of how we run to God last, instead of seeking him first. After Hezekiah had trusted in wealth and failed, he ran to God in humility and reminded God of his rulership over all the world. He did one important thing that stands as a lesson. He told God how Sennacherib was ridiculing him to stir up God's anger. We can use this principle in our personal lives. When we are troubled with illness and struggling with debt, take the matter to God and remind him how that issue is ridiculing God and his promises in redemption. After Hezekiah's heartfelt prayer, God could no longer watch as his people were paralyzed with fear. God spoke to Isaiah, And Isaiah once again brought a message from the Lord to Hezekiah, a message of assurance and judgment. Then Isaiah, son of Amoz, sent a message to Hezekiah. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I have heard your prayer concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word that the Lord has spoken against him. The virgin daughter of Zion despises you and mocks you. The daughter of Jerusalem tosses her head as you flee. Who is it you have insulted and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voice and lifted your eyes in pride? Against the Holy One of Israel. By your messengers you have heaped insults on the Lord, and you have said, with my many chariots I have ascended the heights of the mountains, the utmost heights of Lebanon. I have cut down its tallest cedars, the choicest of its pines. I have reached its remotest parts, the finest of its forests. I have dug wells in foreign lands and drunk the water there. With the soles of my feet, I have dried up all the streams of Egypt. Have you not heard? Long ago I ordained it. In days of old I planned it. Now I have brought it to pass that you have turned fortified cities into piles of stone. Their people, drained of power, are dismayed and put to shame. They are like plants in the field, like tender green shoots, like grass sprouting on the roof, scorched before it grows up. But I know where you stay, and when you come and go, and how you rage against me. The Lord declared that Sennacherib would not enter Jerusalem or shoot an arrow there. He will not come before it with a shield or build a siege ramp against it. Instead, he would return by the way he came, and the Lord would defend the city to save it for his own sake and for the sake of David his servant. 2 Kings 19, verses 20 to 34. That night, as the Assyrian army slept, an angel of the Lord descended upon their camp. Silent and unseen, the angel moved through the ranks, bringing death to 185,000 soldiers. This is the highlight of the video. When morning broke, the remaining Assyrians awoke to a scene of unimaginable horror. The once invincible army lay decimated, and the survivors fled in terror, abandoning their siege and returning to Assyria. 2 Kings 19, verse 35. Sennacherib, humiliated and broken, returned to Nineveh, where he met his end at the hands of his own sons, just as Isaiah had foretold. 2 Kings 19, verse 37. Sennacherib's downfall was a powerful demonstration of God's sovereignty. The Assyrian king had been a mere pawn, used by God to execute judgment, but ultimately held accountable for his own pride and wickedness. His victories, which he believed were due to his own might, were orchestrated by the Lord to fulfill divine purposes. In the end, it was clear that the true power belonged to God, who lifts and brings down rulers according to his will. Sennacherib's story stands as a testament to the ultimate authority of God over all the affairs of men and nations. The Lord had delivered Jerusalem, and the people rejoiced, their faith in God renewed and strengthened. King Hezekiah's reign continued, marked by gratitude and worship for the miraculous deliverance. The story of the angel who defeated an army of 185,000 became a testament to the power of faith and the unwavering protection of the Lord over his people. Through trials and threats, Hezekiah had shown that with trust in God, even the mightiest enemies could be overcome. Thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe and share the video. God bless you.